that has taken place. Let me share with you how inspired I feel, particularly inspiration from people like Hamina and Teresa and Hamad. Thank you very much for the courage and for the leadership to lead the way. I have been speaking with them for some time, and it's remarkable to see when people feel that things are not going the direction they should be going. Instead of complaining, they took charge. They're leading by example, by creating organizations like the Canadian Startup Association, or launching GAIN today, the Global Angel Investor Network. And that's the kind of creativity I think Canadians are known for. And this is kind of innovation people coming from diverse backgrounds, immigrants like yourself, like myself, are really known for. I often remind people that to be an immigrant is to be an entrepreneur, to be a risk taker. Nobody leaves their home without having the appetite to take risk. To be able to leave home, family and friends, jobs and business, to come to a new country and to start a whole new life for your family, professionally, for your business. You're taking risks every single moment. And our job as Canadians, as Canadian government, is to really tap into that entrepreneurial skills, to make sure that the risk-taking that is so part and parcel of you, by choosing to come to live in Canada, that we should harness it, we should unleash it. And as I see the work of the Canadian Startup Association, the work that GAIN is hoping to do, I really do feel that that's precisely what you are aiming to do. So once again, please join me in giving a big round of applause to Tahmina, to Teresa, and Hamad for their work. I think it's really important to acknowledge that we are living at a very critical moment in our lives. Our panelists alluded to it. They were a little timid and shy about acknowledging the fact that the world is changing in front of our eyes. I'm a politician, so I'm going to address it. The world is changing. To think about it from the perspective of Canada, we've been really lucky from a perspective of our geography. We're the second largest country in the world. We have most of the North American continent, and we live next to the most powerful country in the world, economically, politically, militarily. And we've been good friends with them. In fact, we share a border that is the largest undefended border in the world. We have been the envy of the world for that, what I refer to as geographical advantage that we've had. And we have derived a lot of our prosperity because of that geographic advantage. But it's just not our geography, it's also our people-to-people ties. If I ask in this room right now, if you could show by raising your hand how many of you have a family member or friend that's American, I'm pretty confident pretty much every hand will go up. It's how we have built our two respective countries. And then we have leveraged that because of our cultural alignment, because we speak similar language, because we have these strong people-to-people ties. We have developed really strong integrated supply chains that allows us to really work together. But the reality is that has changed. I think all of us may have heard now at least once the speech of our Prime Minister David Dowers. That's what he was talking about. He was talking about how big powers, he was referring to the United States, have been able to now weaponize the economic power. And in order to have access to their market, you have to pay to play. And so all of a sudden the advantage, the access that we had naturally, automatically, now comes with a price. Now we're still quite lucky compared to other parts of the world. We still have a robust free trade agreement which we're working hard to protect, which allows about 80 to 85% of our exports to the United States tariff-free. But the point is, our business relationship has changed. And I think most importantly, the trust between the two countries is shaken. The world is changing. This is a moment where we have to take the reality as it is and take action. And I really do feel, and I strongly believe that our Prime Minister and the government strongly feel that this is a moment for Canada. That this is an opportunity for us to really lean away from the United States and create our own economic prowess. We have far too long been dependent on the US. We've talked about diversifying, but haven't really taken the action because we never saw the need for it. This is a moment where all Canadians, all of us, feel very strongly that we will have to do things differently. Now, the United States will always be our neighbor. They will always be our friend. And we will always do business with them. We can't get away with it. But that doesn't mean that we should not look at other places in the world. So what do we have to do to do that? There's 4 things in my mind that we have to really accomplish. One, first and foremost, we have to protect our independence. We are a sovereign country. We are an independent country. We are a proud country. We cannot take ever for that independence, the sovereignty for granted. You and I came to live in Canada, not the United States. And we take it with great offense if anybody, even jokingly, suggests that somehow we should be part of it. So we, as a country, every single one of us, our government, has to take steps to protect our independence. That means investing in our national defense, making sure that our borders are secure, making sure that we're investing in our own companies, and I will come to that in a moment. Secondly, we have to build our economy. We need to make sure that our entire business model has been north to south. We'll produce things here, or we'll use our natural resources and we'll ship it down south. That has been our business model. The entire axis has been from north to south. It is time for us to change that, and we'll pivot to an east-west axis. Not only to unite this country, to make sure, as the Prime Minister says, build one economy as opposed to 13, to make sure that our provinces and the territories are working together, because we can significantly enhance our GDP accordingly, but also open the market from the West Coast and the East Coast. I mean, how lucky are we that we have access to the Indo-Pacific through our West Coast, and to Europe and other parts of Asia and Africa from our East Coast. So that is important work that we have to do in order to build our economy, which leads to the number 3 important thing, the work that I have been personally involved with on behalf of our government, which is to diversify our trade. We cannot just rely on one market. Anybody, you don't have to go to business school, anybody who's been remotely touched business will know that you don't sell to just one customer. What that customer stop buying your stuff? That's exactly what we're finding out right now. All of a sudden our customer says, no, I don't like the value. I'm going to pay you less, or I'm going to put an extra duty on your goods. We have to focus on all other parts of the world, and that work to diversify, to open markets in the Middle East, in Indo-Pacific, China, India, European Union, Latin America is extremely, extremely important. I'm very honored to travel on behalf of our country, to lead delegations of businesses just like yourself, to meet with officials from other countries. I can tell you one thing, the Canadian brand is very strong. Everybody wants to meet a Canadian, take a photo with Canadian, perhaps even, no, I'm not joking, it's quite interesting. Especially because we're not Americans, even more so now. It's true. They want to do business with us. But that's not enough. This is where we, I think, lack a bit. Being Canadian gets you in the room. Being Canadian gets you a meeting. But then you gotta hustle. Then you gotta show up again for the second, for the third, the fourth, and the fifth meeting. All of you, founders and investors, know that. Just being Canadian with your maple leaf is not sufficient to close the deal or to get the deal. But we are starting from a really good point, and that is precisely the work we're doing. If you look at the travel the Prime Minister and his ministers are doing at this moment, we're doing this so that we can find those new markets, so we can convince those investors, those sovereign funds around the world, to look at Canada again. To say to them that we are a stable country with stable economy, with hard-working people and a growing population, and a country that follows rule of law and human rights. We have the right set of values. Last but not least, and this is all on us that we need to accomplish to really make this Canada's moment, is to unify our country. We need to make sure that we all work together. If we start talking about independence of one province or a referendum in another province, we kneecap ourselves. We'll be weak. We no longer be stable, right? Any investor you talk to, they want ROI. They want to put money somewhere that's going to help grow their money. If they start looking at a country that is still debating about whether they are a united country or not, as the expression goes, Houston, you've got a problem. So that unity part is really incumbent on ourselves to actually not be rigid in our views, to actually understand the views of this entire country. This is a big country. Alberta is very different than Ontario, and Ontario is very different than Quebec. And PEI was smaller than the riding that I represent. But they're part of Canada, and there's Canadians who live there, and our job is to make sure that we understand them and find a way to accommodate all of us. So that is, I think, the moment that you are really seizing into, you're really leaning into, and I think there is a lot of opportunity for all of us to actually help the Canadian government to do better so that you are successful. Let me make last 2 points. Number one, people talk a lot about that Canada is a country of natural resources, which is true. We've got oil and gas, we've got critical minerals, we are a powerhouse in nuclear technology, agriculture is something is sought after. All those things are really important, and we will continue to make sure that those businesses grow, and then grow in a sustainable way, which requires new technological ideas, if anybody's looking for new ideas. But more than that, the best natural resource that Canada has is its people. It's what's between our 2 ears. It's the talent of this country. And that's all of you. It's your ideas. It's your creativity. It's your risk-taking that is going to make Canada successful. And we, your government, recognizes that we need to really help our small businesses, help our founders, innovators, and creators, and invest in them. So how are we doing this? I'm going to give you 2 examples, and this is my last one. Look at our Buy Canada policy. The government of Canada, for the very first time, finally have said that we're going to give preference to Canadian companies. We're going to buy local technology. We're going to buy locally produced goods and services. Why should we send our hard-earned money to other companies in the United States and other parts of the world when we've got great solutions? And yes, that will require us taking risks. We will take some risks in doing that. Lean into that. Government of Canada is one of the biggest procurer, biggest buyer in this country, billions and billions of dollars. It's your opportunity to take advantage of it. Just today, the Prime Minister announced Canada's first ever National Defense Industrial Strategy. There's a lot in there, but the two things that jumped out at me is hundreds of billions of dollars going to be invested in innovation and commercialization of local technologies for defense sector. But just not defense, for dual use. That's how Americans did it. They went into companies, they looked at a solution, perhaps it was for commercial reasons, and they said, hey, is there a military application for this? Let's talk. We'll invest some money, see if you can create that second line. Or vice versa. You came up with a solution, it was for military purposes, and said, I think there's a commercial use too. Go do it. Internet is a great example of that. We want to do the same. We want to invest in our innovators and help you commercialize. So look into those opportunities. Look into that strategy that just came out today. The other thing we said, that 70% of our defense procurement is going to be Canadian made. That's a big number we have put out. 70% of our procurement, as we meet the 2% GDP target, our defense spending is going to be Canadian. That's Canadian innovation, that's Canadian jobs we're working with. So I'll just stop here to share with you that there is a lot that is going on, that the optimist in me, and I am an optimist, I really do strongly feel that this is our moment. This is Canada's moment. This is why I really do strongly believe that organizations like Canadian Startup Association and GAIN are really seizing on to something by bringing you as a collective, by giving you a voice, by creating a platform for you to participate in this. Would we get everything 100% right? Well, that's not human. We will make mistakes, but that's why you also come into play. To be able to speak to people like myself, to give you advice and guidance so that we do get it right. So, there's no time to waste. Let's get to work. You're already doing it. I look forward to working with you. Congratulations again on the launch of GAIN. And as they say, let the games begin. Thank you very much.